Alright, what's going on, gamers? The wrong game mode. Alright, what's going on, gamers? I'm never saying that again, by the way. That's the only time you get that intro. The what's going on, gamers intro. Let me get a quick like in the chat from my fellow gamers gaming out today. Alright, but as you guys can tell from the title, we are talking about sword today, and I'll play Sidra because she has a sword. I didn't actually think of what I was gonna play beforehand, but yeah. We will talk about sword. I do want to get in a game. Okay, we are again. Good. So, what's sword? So, what's there to say about sword? I don't want to really look at this and like go, oh, they need a buff sword. Mainly because sword actually just got second in NA Winters, and then it won and was like top 2, honestly, in what? EU Winters. Like it's still being played and it's still being seen everywhere, and it's really easy and really useful, right? So I don't really want to just go like, oh, they need a buff sword. And in fact, if we look at it, they've actually nerfed sword like 3 patches in a row, right? Not counting like some return to power or like undoing like the sidelight nerf they did. What, they've nerfed sword Endlight last patch, they nerfed sword downlight range last year, and yeah, just like slight hits to the weapon back to back. I feel like I was saying it had been nerfed like 4 times in a row recently. I don't know if that's true, I'm not gonna go check, but yeah, I feel like it eats a lot of hits without actually anything like changing, mainly because they haven't changed the core gameplay, core aspects of sword, which is fine. That's kind of what you're gonna want in a situation like this where you're nerfing a weapon. You want to stay in the same around the same point of power, reach of power, right? Even last year, Winters in NA, we saw sword win with Pugsley playing Brawlhalla, and he played a good amount of sword on it. So it's nothing weird. Sword is definitely a strong, stable weapon. The thing with it is, it always feels like really unrewarding to play if you're not just standing still. And what I mean by that is, it takes a lot of effort and your opponent to mess up really hard to get the same reward you would out of playing something like Cannon or Gauntlets or stuff like that. And I mean, those weapons are, according to me, broken though, so I mean, I don't know if I should compare them to sword really, right? But I just feel like sword is just like, right now, you pick it up as your secondary weapon just so you can get a quick kill confirm at the end of the game. Every time I'm playing against sword, and I'm playing sword, I just feel like there's nothing they could do to me that would like, I would just lose the game at, right? Like, it always feels like everything that's happening is just like, whatever at the end of the day. For example, like, when you're just like deep red, you know exactly what's coming. Not when you're deep red, but like when you're like 1v1ing sword, you just know what's coming. You're not like worried about anything. You just like kind of let the swings happen. And I play a lot of sword dittos, mainly because I main sword, so it's not really the same, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like when I see a lot of sword players, it's just like kind of waiting and nothing will happen if they don't do anything. But the thing is, it doesn't have that like waiting strength of Axe. Like where Axe shines is like on the ground, because all the ground moves on Axe are unreactable, and then they also just do raw damage, no drops, and then they also do 30 damage combos, right? Where you switch it to sword, even though the moves are faster and they might set up better, right? Like I honestly think downlight sets up better. It's always setting up for 24 damage instead of like anything else. Like, right, Axe sidelight Nair is setting up for 30 damage and still getting you the follow up. You see the difference? So that's usually why when I think I talk about Axe and I go, oh, Axe is better. It's kind of stuff like that where you get your raw damage and then you also get to follow it up. 666 Diablo. Stuff like that is always going to be really strong, right? Like, you get raw damage, and then you also get to follow it up. Things like Cannon, where you do your downlight dare, and then that's raw damage, and then you can also read the dare, or they have no dodge, you get sidelight off the dare, sidelight Sarah, and 0 deaths everywhere. And don't get me wrong, sword does have 0 deaths. You'll definitely see people go for a ground pound dare and fall up off to the bottom of the stage with sword 0 deaths. But I feel like it's not the same or as effective as other weapons. Like, maybe not 0 deaths on Katars, but I mean, Katars have the same gimp potential as sword, if not better. And then you also have the on stage, if they burn or dodge, you're carrying them across the half pipe back to back. So people have to be like super careful, super calm when playing against Katars, just not to waste their dodge. But the neutral is just like so insane that does it really matter, you know? Also, that's there. It just feels like so many moves on sword are just super lackluster. Like I found myself like looking at it and I was like, wow, what do you really do on sword? And then I was like, oh, you just dare, and you dare over and over again, and you just keep daring. That guy killing himself. Because dare is the only like non-risky move, right? It does 16 damage, so it's like the most one hit you're gonna get on any move on sword. And if they dodge down or to the sides, then it's like easy to follow up. Most things on the weapon do not fit that profile, right? End light, you're doing 14 damage, and you're not following it up past a certain health threshold, especially like past like yellow, maybe orange if you're lucky. You're not gonna be following up your end lights. But at low health, it does have end light, and then you can chase for down light. So it definitely has options. Same with side light. Side light has a bunch of options all game, and side light's like one of the better moves on sword. I think if I can get it here, where you can do the side light, and then if they dodge in, you go that way. You get ground pound. You can get a dare. That's like a 4-hit off of 1 read. And that does do a good bit of damage. So I guess this is not really supposed to be a guide. More like talking about why I think sword is kind of weak right now. But I do feel like it does have some strength, and I can see the strengths myself, right? I tend not to make videos like this, or I tend not to even talk about sword in general, because I play it. So to me, like even to myself, I'm like, maybe I'm just biased. Like, what kind of like normal person asks for buffs to their weapon and they're not costlix, right? So I don't like going like, oh, they need a buff sword. Sword, it feels like shit right now. Buff sword, please. But I do think, if anything, the best way I can put it is that everything feels way better than sword, or way more rewarding, but they're also way harder. Because another thing that I truly like believe and agree with is like sword is like by a lot the easiest weapon in the game. And that's not to say axe and stuff is hard, but sword is just like, it kind of to a certain point plays itself, and I'm like so serious about that. I feel like you'll get a lot of people that don't realize that sword literally plays itself. It's not hard at all. You just like let it play neutral for you, and then you do low damage hits, but you just keeps going slowly but surely. I think right now, for example, I think I hate like every sword character just because the damage rack up is like so mediocre, right? Like even on guns, the damage rack up, I think guns are like the worst weapon in the game, and the damage rack up is okay, and if you can find positions, you'll get damage. But on sword, the damage rack up is like low if you're both like playing it slow. If you're playing it slow, trading 1 for 1, you're really not going to be enjoying how much damage you're racking up. It's going to be like really bad for you. But then you have the counterpoint where if you're playing against axe, right, and the damage won't be slow. You take it slow, and then you're still doing 16 on 1 hit, but that's just on your end light. Now imagine you hit your side light, that's 30 on 1 hit plus follow up, right? So yeah, stuff like that is really important to weapon. Same with cannon. Don't even get me started about gauntlets, and I think that's what the meta is. Same with the greatsword, right? And my greatsword video should have come out by now, so you already know how I feel about greatsword. Really good, but really clunky, and really awkward to play. But yeah, that's like what the meta is, right? If like someone asks you, yo, what's the meta in Brawl, you'd say weapons with kill confirms. Obviously, sword does have that, yeah, but so does cannons. Cannon can do downlight nair, cannon can do side light sair, if they waste their dodge. Cannon has recovery. Hammer has kill confirms. Gauntlets have a bunch of kill confirms, 3-hit true combos. But that's the difference, right? Gauntlets also have these 3-hit true combos that are doing 30 plus damage each combo, and then they have the easy setup with downlight, right? Where does that come on with sword, right? If they waste their dodge on gauntlets, you are quite literally doing 100 damage off 1 dodge read. You're not doing that with sword, even on your best dodge read, with like the sidelight thing I showed earlier. And I think that is where sword feels lackluster. I feel like, and this isn't just like my opinion, I feel like I've talked to some people about this. Ignoring 2s, because sword is still really good in 2s and you should have it on your team if you can spare it. You just aren't getting the same reward off dodge. And yes, people are playing sword, and I'm seeing people play sword because the neutral is easy and they can find opportunities, and that's good. I love seeing the weapon, I love the weapon. But the reward off dodge is just not comparable to other things. Like, okay, yeah, it's easy neutral, but that doesn't mean it's better neutral than some stuff. Sword neutral is better than gauntlet neutral, but I mean it's easier than gauntlet neutral, but it's not better, so it doesn't really matter. If you are choosing between learning sword and learning gauntlets and which one you want to main, you should definitely choose gauntlets, right? If you're more serious about placing well. I play sword mainly because I care more about playing sword than winning with any other weapon, and I think that gets my point across. So yeah, if I had to close this off on anything, I don't think they should buff sword, but I definitely do think that till other weapons get brought down, sword is like super overshadowed. And the reason I don't think they should buff sword, I'm not gonna play another game because we're basically done. The reason I don't think they should buff sword is because sword is already really good. The other things are just way better and way more rewarding off of an interaction. But sword is still like super stable. If they buffed it, it'd be too strong. And that's my opinion on that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna end this one here. Hope you guys enjoyed the casual commentaries. I like doing casual commentaries like this just because I get to talk, and it's experimental, so I don't have to like pay attention to the game while talking. But I'll still be doing ranked. If you guys see, I uploaded 3 times this week, so 3 times a week is gonna be what we're trying to go for. More consistent. Not gonna go for daily because it's a lot of work to go for daily uploads. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.